Coming up on our newscast tonight, President Moon Jae-in continues to meet with VIPs arriving in the nation for the Winter Olympics. Latest to sit down for talks with him at the top office, the Lithuanian president and the Governor General of Canada. A North Korean delegation of 280 people comprised of cheerleaders and journalists arrives in South Korea. It is also confirmed that the sister of the regime's leader is coming to South Korea this week. A magnitude 6.4 quake takes lives and destroys homes in Hualien, Taiwan. Rescuers frantically carry out operations to search for survivors stuck under concrete rubble. NEWSCENTER begins now. It's 8 p.m. here in Korea, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. This is Arirang News Center. Welcome to our program. I'm Daniel Choi. President Moon Jae-in's Olympic diplomacy continues. Today, he welcomed VIPs from Canada and Lithuania. During his meeting with President Dalia Grybauskaitė, which ended about an hour ago, Moon shared his thoughts on how to boost Seoul's bilateral relations with Lithuania, especially in the science, technology, and energy sectors. Earlier in the day, the Liberal leader met with Canadian Governor General Julie Payette. He expressed gratitude for her visit as well as for Canada's support of South Korea's position on the North Korean nuclear issue. The two agreed to continue expanding their bilateral relationship beyond trade to cooperation and exchanges in sports and businesses and students as well. This morning, the center of attention was the hundreds of North Korean cheerleaders crossing the customs, immigration, and quarantine office at Dorasan Station just south of the border. But another welcome development stole the spotlight: the confirmation of the influential sister of the regime's leader attending the opening ceremony at the Winter Games. Kim Yo-jong gets us up to speed with the developments.
North Korea will send a 23-member high-level delegation to South Korea for a 3-day visit beginning Friday. The delegation will be led by Kim Yo-nam and will include key names like Kim Yo-jong, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's younger sister, Choi Hui, the chair of the National Sports Guidance Committee, and Lee Sun-kwon, the chair of the North Committee on Inter-Korean Affairs. Kim Yo-jong is the youngest daughter of the late leader Kim Jong-il, and her role was strengthened last year when she was promoted to the Politburo. They will be among the most senior North Korean officials to ever visit South Korea. The delegation will also include 16 support staff and 3 journalists as well. As the clock ticks down to the opening ceremony of the PyeongChang 2018 Winter Olympic Games, a North Korean delegation of 280 members led by Pyongyang Sports Minister Kim Il-guk arrived in South Korea on Wednesday morning. The delegation is comprised of 4 officials from the North National Olympic Committee, 229 cheerleaders, 26 taekwondo demonstrators, and 21 journalists. North Korea's cheering squad, popularly known as Army of Beauties, will be attending and cheering at Olympic matches that have either South or North Korean athletes competing. The North cheerleaders first appeared at the 2002 Asian Games in Busan. The North Taekwondo team will conduct joint performances with their South Korean counterparts in the host cities of PyeongChang and Sokcho, as well as in the South Korean capital of Seoul. Kim Yo-jong, Arirang News.
And shortly after the announcement of North Korea's list of high-level delegation to the south, Seoul's presidential office released a statement. According to our top Changwon correspondent Moon Gun-young, the response is positive, brimming with anticipation.
While the Olympic athletes soak up the spotlight in the rink and the slopes, stealing the scene outside of the playing field in the 2018 Winter Games will be a 20-something North Korean woman. Already quite impressive. What's more, she's no ordinary female North Korean. She's the only sibling of North Korea's secretive leader Kim Jong-un, and she'll become the first and only family of the North Kim dynasty to step on South Korean soil. With Wednesday's announcement that Kim Yo-jong, an increasingly prominent figure in the North leadership and senior official at the North ruling Workers' Party, will be traveling to the South as part of Pyongyang's high-level delegation led by its ceremonial head of state Kim Jong-un, Korea watchers around the world saw two huge questions settle in their minds. One, will there be a face-to-face between South Korea's liberal President Moon Jae-in and the only bloodline of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un? And will this lead to a possible bilateral summit between the two Koreas? Two, with the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence also in the South during the younger Kim's stay, are there hopes for a potential breakthrough in relations between Washington and Pyongyang? Nothing's for sure at this point, but Seoul's presidential Blue House is definitely upbeat about the latest development.
We believe North Korea's high-level delegation to the South carries a message of congratulations for the Winter Olympics and reflects its desire to ease tensions on the Korean Peninsula. Kim Yo-jong's visit makes it more meaningful as she is the younger sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and also holds a key position in the North's Workers' Party.
South Korea's Moon Jae-in government has been eager to improve ties with the North and also to show the Trump administration amid increasing talk about military action that diplomacy can work with Pyongyang. Now, many here in the South believe one of the positives of Kim Yo-jong's visit is that she's someone who can deliver a direct message on behalf of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Whether there will be a face-to-face meeting between South Korean President Moon Jae-in and the North's influential younger sister remains unclear at this point. But officials here at the top office have not ruled out the possibility, saying all options are being discussed. Moon Gon-young, Arirang News, the Blue House.
As Gon-young mentioned, Kim Yo-jong will be the first within North Korea's ruling family to visit the South since the nation was divided 7 decades ago. That's why the message she delivers draws a lot of attention. Woo Jung-hee delves deeper into the possible intention behind this move and what South Korea should be ready for.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo-jong will be the first of Pyongyang's Kim dynasty of the so-called Mount Baekdu bloodline to visit South Korea. The North notified the South on Wednesday of its high-level delegation. Its Seoul's unification ministry said Pyongyang seems to have taken into account both Kim Yo-jong's position within the regime as well as the fact that national leaders tend to send their family members to other countries for celebrations. Experts say Pyongyang aims to maximize the effect of the sudden change of atmosphere on the Korean Peninsula by using Kim Yo-jong as a card. The scheduled presence of U.S. President Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka Trump is another reason.
President Trump is sending his country's Vice President Mike Pence as well as his daughter, and the North would have considered that. By sending delegates who are at the same level with those of the U.S., like Kim Yo-jong and Kim Yong-nam, the North aims to show it's willing to improve ties with the South.
Pundits add that another person making the trip south, Choi Hui, is going not only because he's the regime's highest authority in sports, but also a very close aide to Kim Jong-un. Also, Lee Sun-kwon as a control tower-like figure since he led the North Korean delegation at the high-level talks a month ago. By sending Kim Yo-jong to the South, experts believe Pyongyang aims to show the world that it's sincere about improving inter-Korean ties. They see it as highly likely that Kim Yo-jong will deliver proposals or messages to South Korean President Moon Jae-in on behalf of her brother.
North Korea could make some dramatic proposals to the South through Kim Yo-jong, like holding Seoul-Pyongyang summit talks or having a high-level South Korean delegation visit the North. So the Seoul government will have to be ready for all possible scenarios.
Pundits also stress that it's crucial for Seoul to maintain close coordination and communication with Washington. Woo Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Grilling of government officials continue at the National Assembly. Lawmakers touched on various issues from the Olympics to social irregularities. Kim Min-ji has the highlights from the final day of the interpellation session.
Rival lawmakers agreed to work together for the peaceful hosting of the Olympics. They passed a resolution pledging to refrain from political infighting and to work to make the Games a milestone for peace. The ruling Democratic Party of Korea stressed that the government also needs to use the occasion to pursue its diplomatic agenda.
We need to make the most of the PyeongChang Olympics for our diplomacy. What are the government's plans?
The president will be meeting individually with all heads of state, and if circumstances don't allow that, I'll do it myself. Korean companies will also be hosting leaders from countries with which they do business or plan to do business with.
But there was also a dispute, again over constitutional amendment. The main opposition Liberty Korea party claimed that President Moon Jae-in doesn't seem interested on the issue of reducing the powers of the commander-in-chief.
The president says we can put off revising the government power structure and work on other parts first. But the majority of lawmakers see this as urgent. I see no sincerity from the Blue House.
The president is not saying we should leave that part out, but is rather calling on Parliament to reach an agreement. He is saying the next best option is to at least work on other parts in the meantime.
The government's socio-economic policies were also on the table, but rival parties had very different stances. The opposition just had criticism.
The minimum wage hike has caused a crisis. It's not just corporate workers, but those in agriculture and the service industries. All economic entities are losing steam. How will this lead to job creation? The government's support measures are useless.
I think differently. 1 in 4 Koreans are low-income earners and aren't happy. This is also why consumption is falling. We need to raise the incomes of these workers, which in turn spurs consumption.
But the ruling bloc said measures to encourage people to work at SMEs could be an answer.
There needs to be a way to reduce the gap between SMEs and conglomerates. Do you have any plans for their coexistence?
If we take Japan, for example, it is common to see big companies ensuring the profits of their subcontractors. But that's not the case in Korea. We will look into how to fix this problem and to make this a part of corporate culture and not just focus on the crackdown.
Lawmakers also touched on the issue of rooting out irregularities in employee recruitment to provide equal opportunities for all job seekers, regardless of their credentials or background. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
3 years ago, the UN adopted goals to help retain and improve sustainable development of our planet. Today, global leaders, including Alibaba CEO Jack Ma, got together to discuss ways to do that, both on state and private sector level. Cha Sang-mi shares with us their views and ideas.
Under the theme of putting people and planet at the center, world leaders address issues regarding the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They were speaking at the Global Engagement and Empowerment Forum held at Yonsei University, where they addressed socioeconomic problems and suggested solutions on topics ranging from road safety to technology. One of the panelists, Jean Todt, a former CEO of Ferrari and now the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, addressed how encouraging road safety can, in fact, contribute to sustainable development. He said out of 1.8 billion children who head off to school each day across the globe, 500 don't make it there. They're killed in road accidents. The meeting wasn't limited to international agencies, though. Jack Ma, the founder and executive chairman of Alibaba, talked about how the private sector participates in the Sustainable Development Goals. Ma underscored that sustainable growth is a responsibility of the world, not just a single organization, and he urged global citizens to prepare for the upcoming technological revolution.
The new technology revolution is coming. We are not ready for the next 30 years. Technology revolution may cause problems, but bring a lot of great opportunities for human beings.
Ma also addressed equal gender rights in the 21st century and hinted that the employment of more female workers and younger people is one secret of his company's success. The leaders at the forum came from all sectors of society. And discussing sustainable development, they were positive and encouraged people to get involved in the future, rather than just worrying about it. Cha Sang-mi, Arirang News.
Washington will be imposing new sanctions on North Korea. Speaking at a news conference after a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Tokyo, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence reiterated his country will continue to pressure Pyongyang to abandon its nuclear program. Kwon Jang-ho tells us more.
Describing North Korea as the most dangerous threat to the Indo-Pacific region, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence reiterated that all options remain on the table. He said previous efforts at diplomacy with the regime had failed and that the current administration would continue to put pressure on the regime. In that regard, he made a surprise announcement.
The United States of America will soon unveil the toughest and most aggressive round of economic sanctions on North Korea ever. And we will continue to isolate North Korea until it abandons its nuclear and ballistic missile program once and for all.
Pence did not elaborate on what those sanctions might be, but US officials have said that they expect them to be implemented before the end of the PyeongChang Winter Olympics. The Vice President also sent a stern warning on the North's participation with South Korea at the Games. He noted that although the two Koreas have previously competed in sporting events together, those have not resulted in any change in the North, and said he would not allow North Korean propaganda to hijack the message of the Olympics. He also thanked Japan for its cooperation in dealing with North Korea and promised Tokyo continued American protection, while Abe pledged to continue to work with Washington and Seoul to push Pyongyang towards change. Pence will head to South Korea on Thursday, where he'll meet with President Moon Jae-in and attend the PyeongChang Olympics opening ceremony on Friday. Despite Pence's strong words, he's not ruled out meeting with North Korean officials while in PyeongChang, saying that he will see what happens. Significant talks are not expected, but any interaction will be closely watched. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Elsewhere around our world, a powerful earthquake shook up Taiwan. The 6.4 magnitude tremor toppled buildings, killed 4 people and left more than 200 others injured. Lee Jong-un has the details.
A magnitude 6.4 earthquake hit Taiwan on Tuesday night, about 20 kilometers northeast of Hualien, which is home to around 100,000 people. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake struck at a relatively shallow depth of around 10 kilometers. So far, at least 4 people are confirmed dead and 243 injured. According to Taiwan's official news agency CNA, 31 foreigners were affected, including 14 South Koreans and 9 Japanese. Rescuers are desperately searching for the 85 people that are unaccounted for in collapsed and damaged buildings. Footage of the area reveals buildings leaning at sharp angles, shattered glass, and piles of concrete rubble from the crushed bottom floors. The quake initially left 40,000 homes without water and around 1,900 without power. Taiwan is prone to earthquakes as it sits along the Pacific Ring of Fire, known for frequent seismic activity. Tuesday's quake came on the heels of a 6.1 magnitude tremor over the weekend, and also on the second anniversary of a 6.4 quake in southern Taiwan that killed nearly 120 people. According to Lee Chi-chi, a geology professor at National Central University in Taiwan, recent research on the cluster of quakes around Hualien indicate that Taiwan has entered a 100-year earthquake cycle. This means that there's a high chance an earthquake of at least magnitude 8 could occur within the next decade. Lee Jong-un, Arirang News.
The head of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, hailed North Korea's participation in the PyeongChang Winter Olympics at a press briefing following the 132nd IOC session held in PyeongChang on Wednesday. Bach underscored the significance of the two Koreas coming together.
For me, I don't know whether there you can feel with me coming from a formerly divided country and having competed for a divided country in 2 different teams there at the time. This is really a very special and also emotional moment. And
the IOC chief added that thanks to the thorough preparations by the organizing committee, PyeongChang 2018 will be an outstanding and exciting global event. During the 2-day session, the IOC shared new sets of reforms aimed at increasing value and efficiency while reducing cost and complexity. The international body also highlighted the importance of its Solidarity program, which led to a record number of participating countries in PyeongChang 2018. Around 3,000 winter sports competitors from all across the globe have now gathered in PyeongChang and Gangneung. Naturally, they're pumped up and ready for their chance to shine. Our Lee-Ji-won traveled to the host city to confirm the Olympic spirit is high amongst some of the world's greatest athletes.
Starting with the Romanian team on February 5th, the PyeongChang and Gangneung Olympic villages have been holding team welcoming ceremonies for the Winter Olympics athletes. They welcomed Team Korea on Wednesday. With more athletes arriving at the villages by the day, excitement for the Games is growing.
This is what we've all been looking forward to. We've been together as a team since the beginning of August, so for it finally be time to move into the village and to get the Olympics started, it's extremely exciting.
The welcoming ceremonies are still going on until Friday, but many athletes have moved in and started training already, creating a real buzz around the Olympic villages.
It's really exciting, yeah. We got on the course for the first time last night onto the mogul course and checked out the venue and got a sense for what it's like and go. I think everyone's really positive with their vibes at the moment. There's a great atmosphere around and everyone just can't wait to compete.
That great atmosphere could also be felt over at the main press center, where the briefing rooms are fully booked with teams wanting to share their determination and Olympics goals to the world.
It's a pretty cool atmosphere. It's a big scene. You know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of kind of media people, for instance, and a lot of other stuff keeping us busy. So yeah, I mean, it feels like it's the big event, the main event.
With the first event of the PyeongChang Olympics to start on Thursday and the opening ceremony to take place on Friday, the Olympic buzz is building by the day. Lee-Ji-won, Arirang News, PyeongChang.
We now turn our focus to the visiting cheerleaders from North Korea. We've seen them for the first time in well over a decade here in South Korea. Other than celebrating the spirit of the Games together, their mission is to rally athletes of both Koreas during the competitions. Park Hee-jun gets us better acquainted with this group, mostly attractive women in their 20s.
One after another, they marched, wearing a red coat and dark fur hat, and on their chests, the North Korean flag. These are the 229 North Korean cheerleaders who crossed the demilitarized zone Wednesday to root for both South and North Korean athletes during the PyeongChang Winter Olympics. While passing through immigration control, they greeted journalists with bright smiles.
반갑습니다.
예.
반갑습니다. 반갑습니다. 반갑습니다.
Most of them appeared to be in their early 20s. They carried both traditional and Western-style music instruments, and when asked by journalists about their repertoire, they gave a simple but concise answer. This marks the fourth occasion for the North Korean cheerleading squad, popularly known as the Army of Beauties, to visit South Korea. Their last appearance in the South was 13 years ago during the 2005 Asian Athletics Championships. North Korea did not always send young women to cheer at global sports events. For the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Pyongyang sent a mixed group of middle-aged men and women, and for the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, the regime sent a team of 100 male cheerleaders who were estimated to be in their 40s and 50s. Although only a handful of North Korean athletes are competing in PyeongChang, the cheerleading squad is also expected to perform for the unified women's ice hockey team, as well as South Korean athletes throughout the Games. Park Hee-jun, Arirang News.
Time to turn to Michelle Bach at the Weather Center for the updates you need. Michelle, conditions have improved greatly today. It's especially when you compare it to how freezing it was the past few days.
That's right, Daniel, and conditions will get even better than now. The daytime highs tomorrow will be a couple of notches higher, finally reaching readings above freezing point. Now, Seoul will start Thursday at -9 degrees Celsius, Daegu at -7, Busan at -3 degrees. And into the afternoon will be mild nationwide, with Seoul rising up to 1 degrees, Gwangju and Busan at 6 and 7 degrees respectively. Snow is out of the forecast this week, but on Sunday and Monday we will have a short cold snap again. And meanwhile, in PyeongChang, the weather is dry and icy. Now, on the day of the Olympics opening ceremony, the readings inside the stadium will hover between -2 and -5 degrees, but the wind chill factor will make it feel even colder at -10 degrees. That's your weather. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
This is where we wrap up tonight's edition of Arirang News Center. Wherever you may be tuning in from, thank you for staying with us.